Welcome. Today we're going to draw Scrum. Enjoy. Scrum defines a series of collaboration structures for teams to build a product. I'm going to draw the product here on the right. In Scrum, this product is called the increment because it grows incrementally. The increment. We're building this increment for a bunch of stakeholders. And the stakeholders are defined by anyone who has a stake in the product. And so in order to build this increment, what we want to do is to decompose a vision into smaller goals. And then in Scrum, we have these product goals. These product goals that helps to craft a list of stuff, items, features, desirement, that we call the product backlog. That's the list that will help us get to that product goal. And then in Scrum, there's this role, it's called the product owner. And the role of the product owner is to maximize value. Maximize value is done by managing the stakeholders' expectation and also ordering the product backlog, crafting the product goal, aligning the visions and stuff like that. So the product owner needs a bunch of devs, and their mission is to create done increment. And done here in Scrum means high quality of something that works. It may not be complete, like we may be missing features, but done means that this increment, this version of the increment works. You can ship it. And to make it transparent, what does it mean? What does it entail to create a done increment? They create a definition of done that they apply on the increment whenever they touch the increment. And this definition of done is a checklist of tests or engineering practices to ensure that the increment is high quality. They need a Scrum Master. They need a Scrum Master to enable. The Scrum Master enables the right conversation, enables the use of professional Scrum. The Scrum Master will eventually help the people develop the skills needed to navigate the unknown, right? So this is the Scrum team. The Scrum team has 3 characteristics. It's a small team. It's a team that is cross-functional, meaning that they have all the skill set to create the increment, and is a team that can make all decisions to make that increment. It's a team that is self-managed. So the team needs to go through different conversation. The first one is called the sprint planning conversation. The planning takes in account the product goal, like the vision, where is it that we're going, looks into the product backlog, looks at the increment, have a look at the definition of done. And then the team needs to decide how many items are they going to pull from the product backlog, right? And then the devs are going to decompose these items in smaller tasks so that they can better collaborate. They store these tasks into a sprint backlog. And in order to better navigate the unknown, the team will craft a sprint goal. They will clarify the intent of the sprint. What is the intent of the sprint? That's the sprint goal. It should be impactful in the eyes of the stakeholders. And then they sprint. And then a sprint is less than 30 days. And during that sprint, it's good practice for the devs and the product owner to meet and refine the product backlog by splitting the items, adding more details into the items of the next sprint or the sprint after, so that the next planning is gonna be better. The idea is to navigate the unknown. So the planning leads to having a sprint goal and a sprint backlog, but the planning is incomplete because we know we don't know. Right? We're developing this increment. So the idea is to continue that planning conversation every day for maximum 15 minutes, where the devs are going to look into their sprint backlog and their sprint goal, and they're going to make decisions how to best collaborate to get to a done version of an increment or getting to the sprint goal. So they keep doing that till the sprint review, the end of the sprint, where they want to review the product, right? The changes in the product. The product lives in the increment, so it might be inspecting how the changes of the increment are impactful for the stakeholders. And they are going to have a review on how the changes on the product backlog is impacting the roadmap or the vision or the changes, right? So the goal of this conversation here is to maximize value, and they will bring the appropriate feedback. They will bring them back to the product backlog. So the idea of the review is to maximize the value, right, for the future sprint. So the product owner may invite the right stakeholders that will bring some insights into the changes that happen during the sprint. The devs are going to be there to collaborate, to share what did they learn on the product while developing the products that may have an impact on the product backlog and the future states of the increment. And the idea is to look into the increment to verify or to gather the feedback from the stakeholders and the team, and to confirm that the intent, the sprint goal, has been met. And again, the idea is to maximize the value, right? So after that conversation, the team departs with their stakeholders and they move into another conversation called the retrospective. And the retrospective is a place where the team wants to be more effective at getting to done, the state of done of the increment, or getting to the sprint goal. And the idea is to craft action items that it will make them more effective for the future sprints. And then they inject that into the next sprint. And then you rinse and repeat, and that is Scrum. That's it. There's a few questions that come back often. One of them is a better understanding of what done means in Scrum. And done is not like a list of features, like do the splash page and then the login and that kind of stuff. Like, that's not the definition of done. The definition of done is about the quality. So when you do the features, like let's say the splash page or the login page, then what you want to do is to make sure that when you do those things, the quality attributes of the increment as a whole, the product as a whole, are respected. So let's say that you want your web pages to be fast at all time. Well, in the definition of done, you should have some test that will test how fast the website is at all time. Those are going to be tested in the definition of done. To make sure that you minimize the amount of bugs, maybe you want to do some peer review. So in the definition of done, you can have some the task needs to be peer reviewed. So that's one thing that comes back often. Another thing that comes back is around the understanding of the increment. The word increment can be tricky for some because it's not saying it's the product, right? And it is the product. The increment is the product, but it's in development, so it grows incrementally, right? So this is the whole product. Every sprint, you do a piece of the puzzle. Let's craft a piece of the puzzle here. Another sprint, you'll craft another piece of the puzzle, right? Let's craft another piece of the puzzle here. And then the sprint after, you'll do like another piece of the puzzle. And so the idea of the increment is that it's usable at all time. That's the whole point of the concept of done, is that whatever you touch on the increment, you can still use the increment. So the increment is not a function of completeness, because it's growing every sprint. It's growing all the time, right? So the idea is that done means that it's just usable. That's it. This is Scrum. So again, Scrum defines a series of collaboration structures for teams to build a product, and I hope that you enjoyed the little explanation. See you later.